sure you're okay with it.
Yes. No, I'm okay with the tangent. I'm okay with all of that stuff because, I'm wanting to discover, like, go into new territories of podcasting. Because I think a part of me is, like, feeling a little not underwhelmed, but, like, I just want to do something different with the podcast. Is what I've been thinking. And so I'm like, you know what? Other ways can I do it? Or, like, maybe incorporating, like, random questions into it, like just random questions.
Sure.
Actually, a friend of mine we did an interview together, and she was just asking random questions like, oh, what do you like better? Like vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream? Like some random questions like that.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, I'm open and available to new and exciting things.
Have other like specific ideas that you wanted to do for podcasts, or otherwise happy to like noodle on it and get back to you too?
Yeah. Definitely shorter. I mean, I have been doing them shorter. Like, it's not an hour anymore. It's more like 30 minutes. I mean, because I feel like a lot of people's, or at least my attention span is a lot shorter. And, like with all things social media, everything is like 50, seconds, minutes,
Right.
not hours long. So,
True.
yeah. So I do like that.
Okay. Well, short and sweet. I do remember that. Like, our longest one was like 45 minutes long, but we had a lot to say.
We did. Actually, Masturbation May, I think it was like 45. No, I think it was like an hour. I think it was an hour long. Yeah.
We went through products by
products. We went through everything. We were also together in person, so I felt like, the interaction was different. Yeah. We were just so excited about, like,
it was our first one together. Yeah.
It was in person last year.
We're getting way better and better at this. So
yeah, we are. It's getting more comfortable. Yeah, we can like talk more easily. So yeah. Anyway, welcome to the Viva La Vulva podcast. I am your host, Dr. Kara Quant, and I am lucky to have my recurring guest on, Lily Wang from MedAmour. Yes, and we are talking today all about men's sexual health, because it is what is it called? Men's Health Month in the month of June. And we're also talking about sex education because it's like a big thing. It's a big thing. It's also National Sex Ed Month. Yes, National Sex Ed Month in the month of June. And so I wanted to get started with that.
Hi, Dr. Kara.
Lily.
And we love you guys too, because a lot of the time when we talk about sexual health, especially with Viva La Vulva and MedAmour, we focus around a lot of women's focused health products and health conditions. But hey guys, we love you too.
We do. And you know what? There's a friend of mine that like listens to my podcast. Shout out to Osama, who is out there listening. He listens on a regular basis. So I'm grateful. But he's like, why don't you add more, like, talk about men stuff? Like, men want to know about this stuff too. And I'm like, you're right, but it's called Viva La Vulva.
Well, now we're dedicating this episode just for him and guys.
Yes. Just for him and other guys out there that are listening, that enjoy listening about women's sexual health, but also can get some tips for themselves. Yeah, I like it. So I was going to ask you about sex education and kind of like how was sex education for you growing up?
Oh my gosh, like, we don't even have enough time of how lack of education, that's a better word. There was a lack of education growing up. I don't remember any of it in grade school. And in high school, I was doing some research on this. There's less than half the states in the US that are even mandated and even supported to having sexual education in school. So I didn't have sex ed in school at all. We had health class, which was about cooking, which is what I remember. And remember the food pyramid?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
All wrong, upside down. Like, so I thought it was okay to eat 6 to 11 servings of carbs. Like, bagels have no fat, pastas, rice, eat all the carbs you want because it's 0 grams of fat, which was sort of true, but all that sugar. So food pyramid, that was health class.
That was health class. So it wasn't even like sex. It was food.
How sad, right? I mean, and then gym class, I guess this was the most closest thing to health. And there was the boys' side and the girls' side. You talk about sports or play sports and team camaraderie and sports, just good team spirit ish. But I don't remember anything about sex ed. So I think basic anatomy would be super helpful, and just kind of talking about how the birds and the bees match or met.
Yeah. I mean, where did that even come from? Like, where did the birds and the bees come from? Like, where did that conversation happen? Like, why would it be birds and bees and not like actual people?
I feel stumped. I'm sorry, I don't know that one. It's kind of like, do people believe in the birds and bees, or do they use a Stark analogy? So
exactly, that the baby just came out of thin air, and with the stork.
Yeah, where do babies come from? That question was not asked in school.
That, I think that's a good starting point. Where do babies come from? That could be like the name of the class. Where do babies come from? And you can like actually have anatomy conversations. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Oh shoot.
Yeah, if there's any educators out there who want to volunteer, dedicate their time, or even work with a school just to even propose a course to teach children and our young people today about sex ed, that would be so impactful. But of course, you've got parents probably who are like, oh my gosh, that's too taboo. Because you and I are still working continually on getting the adults comfortable to talk about sex, let alone their children. So we've got to start at some point. Like, where do we normalize it?
Yeah. But you know what? I think that this generation, or the generation that's coming up, and now that I sound old, but like I'm making myself sound old, but like the kids that are coming up, the teenagers, the young adults, like I do feel that they have a better grasp on sex maybe than I did. I mean, well, first, there's so much out there. I mean, like porn, you can literally look up on your phone. Like you can literally look it up on your phone. You can see whatever you want to see on there. And so I feel like I didn't have an iPhone when I was young. I wasn't able to like have all of this access. I was looking at like HBO and stuff, like the real sex. Like those are the things that I was getting some information from. So I feel like this new generation is getting more information. I mean, whether it's like credible or not credible, it's more at their disposal for sure.
I totally agree.
But I think with all of that information, like how do you navigate through? And so it would be helpful to have those sex education courses out there. It would be so helpful. Actually, there is something for kids. It's called like Scarletine, or have you heard of it?
Just recently I've heard of it, where there's a lot of contributors who are writing for that platform. I'm not familiar with it, but it's amazing. Just like you said, anyone younger than age of 18, they can just Google on their phone exactly, oh yeah, I'm 18 and older, even though they're not. They can see a lot of adult content, and good or bad, like you said, they won't be able to know if it's accurate or proper information. They're able to access it for easily, too easily. And sadly, on the negative side, they think that's what's normal. Maybe they see porn and that's what they portray that their relationships need and have to be like, even though we remember that there's a healthy part of it, but it's also entertainment. So there's a performance side to it versus what's healthy sex.
Yeah. And I do. Yeah, that is very true. And how do you distinguish between the two? Like how do you, especially if you've never done it before, like if you've never had sex before, and then all of a sudden you come up on this website and you start exploring, you probably think that this is what real sex is like. And it's not necessarily the case.
It's like, how do we even like legalize that? I'm doing air quotes, folks, like legalize it so that it could be part of sex education in their coursework and their school and upbringing. And when you talk about it more often, it's out in the open and it's not so then taboo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just had an idea. I think that, and I think some people are doing this. is like on porn sites, because I've looked at porn sites before. On porn sites, actually, some people are doing educational things. Like there is some education, and I don't know, like, what their background is, but there are some people out there that are like putting on the porn sites sex education-ish type stuff for people to learn.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. They're definitely, putting themselves in a different light and position and different positioning. That's smart.
No pun intended.
Always puns. We love the puns.
Yes. So yeah, no, sex education. I wish I had a lot more growing up on it. I always say or tell the story about not getting very much sex education in high school, and yeah, basically high school. I think that's where it started. Or no, middle school. I do remember cooking class. I remember that. I did like a wood class, but there was no discussion about sex. And I think if it was like one class one day, and they talked about we separated, the women and men. We talked about periods, like what it is to have a period, and the use of condoms. And I think oh, you know what? I think someone actually showed us how to put on a condom with like like a fruit, a banana.
Oh, see, that's advanced.
That's actually advanced. That's advanced, yeah.
A lot of states or schools, their sex education is basically abstinence. Don't have sex. Don't talk about it. That's the safest thing to do. So, no, that's your sex ed. Have no
sex ed. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. So, what I would love to see for the future of sex ed, definitely more online stuff. I feel like, we have access. You can get it from anywhere. Most people have some type of internet, so they can get it online. I would say for like the younger, kids, I feel like you do have to start young and appropriately young. So before 10 years old, I would say like talking about just anatomy, like appropriate anatomy, like vagina and penis and vulva, and, using the correct terms, not shaming or using other words that may put shame on those body parts.
I mean, and us growing up, like at age 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you recognize your body's different than little Johnny's, right? So you're naked in the pool or you're in the bathtub, you realize your body parts are different and growing differently. And like, what's that extra testicle that you have? So yes, isn't this almost like the Oedipus Rex complex, like where the boys always want to be like women that are like their moms, and the women that's why we always have daddy issues, and we want guys that are similar to them or completely opposite, different in our upbringings. But by having that terminology and education and just upbringing, you're right, we'll just normalize things as we progress in time. And the younger people today, they definitely do have more access to it, just with advertising and marketing. It's so in their face, and all of the programming, anyone can turn on Netflix today too, and it's all there.
It's all there. Yes, it is all there. Yeah, it is. Okay, so did you have anything else to add in terms of like sex education and like what you like to see in the future?
Some of it, any of it, right? Like I don't get
just have it out there, right?
Yeah, there wasn't even a textbook. Is there even a textbook out there, or a workbook? That would be amazing, just to have like make a fun workbook. Somebody, whoever's listening, make a fun workbook for young people to learn about anatomy, how sex works. All right, we got an idea here, Kara.
Yeah, let's
make a fun coloring activity book now. And it can go through all of the school channels and medical channels too. If everyone could see Dr. Kara's face. Like, yes.
I don't know. This is like an idea, like the little bulb at the top. Yeah, like ding.
I like it. Yes. I mean, I have a puppet vagina Puppet vulva.
A puppet vulva, yes. You
Always
can do
showing,
anatomy that way.
yep, demonstrating how it works. And then it's only just recently, what, 2014? It's, pardon me, or misquoting, or 2007, when we just discovered the entire clitoris.
Yeah.
That was recently.
Yeah. Which doesn't make any sense. And you know what? There's actually someone online that like constantly messages me or on Viva La Vulva and is like, the male anatomy and like the books, the medical books, is very extensive when it comes to, all of the nerves and the blood vessels and everything. But when it comes to female anatomy, like,
why?
the details that is in the male anatomy, and it doesn't make sense. Even the thing that is behind me, this is a very like basic version of anatomy. It's like the basics, like to get into the details of the nerves and all of that. Like, you have to look in some medical text in order to find that.
Why is it such a dark abyss to go into?
I don't know. I think that is what a lot of like women's sexual health is about. Like people think it's so complex. People think the female orgasm is so complex and that just women are complex in general. And maybe, but yeah, it doesn't have to be portrayed that way.
That's too bad. It's such a magical place.
It's such a magical place. Yeah, it's such a magical place. And for men, getting into like men's sexual health discussions, men, I would say out there who are listening, it is good to know that anatomy. Like it's good to know your partner. It's good to know what they like and what they don't like. It's good to like explore all of that stuff with them.
Yes.
Yeah, explore it all. Ask questions, be curious. It's okay to ask about a period. I feel like that's a big thing. It's okay to ask about like how you're feeling during your period, what products you use during your period, how long it lasts for.
And ladies will love you for that. Just be sensitive and thoughtful and compassionate and however you're able to help, because they're going to have some good days and they're going to have some bad days. And it's hormonal. Like it's just a lot of it almost uncontrollable and very emotional. So be there for us, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, know that, there's certain times of the month that are going to be a little bit more emotional. You're going to want some chocolate, something sweet. Yeah. More horny, more. I mean, like there's a cycle, and women go through that cycle.
Totally.
Yeah, we do.
Well, we're always going to remember this time, 2020 pandemic. So, and we just finished tail off of Masturbation May.
Yes.
How have you heard about intimacy for guys during this coronavirus time?
You said have I heard, or
yeah, how are the guys handling it?
I mean, I've asked, some friends of mine, and they are not really able to navigate through. They're like, I don't know what to do. I'm dating, or I want to date, but like, how do I date during this time? Or if they are partnered up, it's like figuring out different things to do. I mean, I heard a statistic, and I don't know how true it is, but people are less intimate during this time, like together. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the case.
I've heard both extremes as well, just with, and I could share a little bit more light on that. So it is, I think more people are more stressed out now than ever. High anxiety levels, stressed out. 35% of the US is furloughed or out of work, unemployed. So yeah, their stress levels are way high. And one way to manage that, I would say, is to lower expectations and to just give yourself a break. It's not you. This so happens to be like a world pandemic. It's called a pandemic for definition. And there's just going to have to let time go by. And use this time to reflect, meditate. We just tailed off from like Masturbation May. Like, use the time to give yourself some love, self-love, care, touch, discover your body, discover yourself. It's almost like you have to love yourself before you can love someone else too. Love yourself first, then others. And I really do believe in that. So with less sex, like you were saying, but because maybe those couples are having troubles, there's also those couples who I think are using the time to like reconnect, have better communication, and maybe they're stuck at home, so they are trying to like, hey, well, now we have time for some sexy time. Because even though, as you know, like with MedAmour, I'm seeing a tick in volume. So we are getting more traffic to the website, and there are some extra folks who are shopping around online and looking for fun, intimate products, because I was like, you know what? People want to be, they're stuck at home, so you might as well do something that's going to make you happy. And they're purchasing items that make them feel good, and it's healthy for themselves and their relationship. And I like to think that we're sending good vibes to everyone.
Yes. I mean, I do agree. Like, there are the sex toys have increased in sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of people that are interested in doing some like maybe new things that they've never done before, just exploring more with their partner or by themselves. And
sex toys. I mean, read another article about how sales in jigsaw puzzles have definitely gone up the roof. Not just hand sanitizer and cleaning solutions, but like things to do at home. We were just at the store looking for a frisbee because we wanted to just toss something around in the backyard. We couldn't find a frisbee anywhere. Like,
who not find a frisbee? Really? What?
It's like not cool enough. It's not technology, video games, but here we are, just getting out of spring. It's summertime. We want to be outdoors a little bit. We wanted to just find some outdoor activities, and like next on my list is to find a badminton set.
I'm sure you can just Amazon it and Amazon Prime it and like have it sent really quickly. But or going out to the stores or supporting local businesses.
Right. Yeah. Say that, but like even Amazon Prime, like they are taking way longer than a week to turn around process orders because it's just so overwhelming. But so then when you're not outside, it's about taking that time to self-care, self-love, do those bath salts and bubble baths, CBD, and connect with your partner.
Yes. And another thing that I would say for people who haven't explored it is Tantra. Tantra is a practice that I have had people as guests on talking about it. And I feel like it is a good practice for connection, for connecting with somebody else. And I would say the easiest Tantra thing to do is just like sit in like a partnered, but sit in each other's laps and gaze into each other's eyes for a certain amount of time. Like, it doesn't have to be long, but eye gazing is something that I thought was so scary in the beginning. Like, it was so scary. And then for looking into someone's eyes, because you literally look into their soul. Like, that's what you do when you're looking into that's what you're doing.
That's why they always talk about like eye contact when you're speaking with someone, and just to take out the noise, take out the communication, and just look. You are looking into their soul.
You're looking into their soul. Yes. Yeah. So if you want, that connection, if you're not even thinking of new things to do, but Tantra is something that is out there for people to experience a different form of connection. And one of those is just, eye gazing for like a couple minutes with this person. So that's a good thing to explore during this time, during the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah. I love it. That's such a good basic thing to like lead into sex. And we want to always like emphasize and remind people that orgasming doesn't mean that that's like the end all be all for sex. Like, you can still just enjoy each other's company and touch and feeling good and enjoying the motions, but you don't have to always orgasm to like it's complete.
No. And you know what? Even for myself, like I say that all the time, and it's like a daily, it's like a regular practice. Like I really have to tell myself that this is not the goal. This is not the goal. It's about the experience of it rather than the end part of it, because it doesn't have to be that way. Just explain, like, and it also takes that pressure off
Yeah.
of
It's the
both people.
journey, like with the road trip of getting to anywhere, not to the actual destination.
Yes, exactly. So speaking of like MedAmour and the everything that's been selling so nicely during this time, like what are some men products that you guys have that's been selling a lot?
Uh,
You guys have any?
Well, yes, we do have a men's category, so we definitely do focus on men's health as well. And MedAmour does focus around health conditions. So some of the guys, this could be post-cancer, it could be pre-ejaculation, it could be erectile dysfunction. So working with your partners on what is it that's going to de-stress you to feeling good, increasing blood flow, and having that erect penis so that you can have intercourse or sex with your partner. CBD is selling a lot right now. So that's no surprise. I think CBD, people are taking gummies to relax. They're taking the tinctures, I think just on almost a daily use just to help with the anxiety and relaxation. Our number one is like CBD lubricants. So the lubricant is so beneficial for men and women because it increases the blood flow. So by having the increased blood flow, it helps with the erection as well as pain management for women because, as you know, over 3 out of 4 women always experience pain during sex. So the CBD lubricant actually helps with the pain management because of increasing blood flow, relaxing that individual, and low anxiety, and helps with moisture retention. So the more moist, that way the friction isn't there and is comfortable.
Yeah.
So the CBD lubricants definitely for men and women. And then right now for June special, we're kind of almost experiencing with masturbation cups. And the idea is that because whether it's solo play or with a partner, and say she's maybe not in the mood or she physically is in pain and can't have sex at the moment, these masturbation cups are good because you're pleasing him and you can almost control it a little bit better with the texture inside, the pressure, and how much moisture it is to feeling good. So here's actually just the look of one.
What is a masturbation cup?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, but you can actually use it with
like a bowling ball. It looks like the pin. It looks like a bowling pin.
The bowling ball pin. Yeah, it doesn't have to look like, the vagina or those fleshy ones out there. It could look clean, hence why on MedAmour, everything of ours is high quality, clean. I don't have anything phallic on the site just because it's meant for those who have never owned a vibrator. Maybe you're a beginner. This is your first vibrator that you're ever wanting to experience and try to look for. There's no like charts where they're going to be able to like chase you, no information that's gathered, and it's safe and discreet. That's kind of what we always go by too.
Yes, because not everyone wants people to know what their king, not even kinks, but just like what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Or like conditions are. So I mean, it might be something that someone's struggling with, so they just want that privacy, and we absolutely honor the privacy. And it's been awesome. Like where I get the most goosebumps is getting those testimonies or those phone calls in the middle of the day where they have questions because they're not sure what to get. And I'm able to walk them through exactly, okay, well, what's going on? What are you experiencing? What do you want to experience? And then I can kind of guide them into what product makes most sense.
Yes. Wait, do you guys have uh like not service reps, but like people who are answering questions, like people who are answering questions about that's you.
That would be me. We're just a 1.5 woman show. We're just a passion project. That's really all just kind of happened by chance, and there was a need, and I love helping folks. So folks who
That's
just
in the area of sex.
yeah. I mean, like I'm not glued to the phone, unfortunately, 24/7, but those phone calls and emails come in. I'll get to it as fast as I can. Sometimes being a 1.5 lady show, you're either really fast or you're really slow.
I feel you. I mean, with Viva La Vulva, it's the same. You know, it's like entrepreneur, doing it, sending emails. You know, like it's not all glamorous, right?
Of our relationship, we can text, we can chat, we can Skype, we can just connect, and then I am here to support you in every way that I can. And I just loved how we always get to do these episodes together. So
yes, I do love it. I do. And I think that comes to the end of our podcast episode. Short and sweet, talking about sex ed as well as men's sexual health. And yeah, so stay tuned for more episodes with Lily Wang from MedAmour. Thank you for being on today.
Thank you.
And thank you out there for listening. Subscribe to the podcast. Let us know or follow us on Instagram at Viva La Vulva LA and MedAmour 1. And then, yeah, listen to the podcast and like the podcast, and let your friends and family know about it also. So with that being said, I am Dr. Kara Quant, host of Viva La Vulva podcast, and thank you for listening. Bye.